What's your first memory of Team Canada in any variation?
1972 versus the Soviet Union. Paul Henderson scored the game-winning goal. I think I was, I was 7 years old at the time. And I was living in Ottawa, going to a French school. I went to a French school when I was younger. My mother was born in Montreal, so that was the plan, then go to an English school when we got to middle school. So they had the game on. A lot of people won't remember this. They used to have a TV on these long legs that you wheeled around. So they pushed it around. It was probably it seemed huge at the time, but it's probably maybe 12 inches, maybe 24 or whatever they were. So they had it on in school, let us watch it. I don't know if it was that exact game, but that 8-game series, that was it for sure.
Can you believe now you're going to coach a best on best, like a version of that team that faced the Soviet Union?
Yeah, it's surreal a little bit, right? I was a hockey junkie since I was that age, so loved it. I went 76, the tournament in Ottawa. I think they had some exhibition games or live game. Bobby Orr was coming back. He had some injuries, so I snuck around the back. I remember at the Ottawa Civic Center in Lansdowne Park to get some autographs of the guys as they got on the bus. Oh yeah. Some of them were great. Some of them were grumpy. And so that was the next one I watched some of. Then you get now you get older, you start playing a little bit. So I was with the program with Team Canada in 1987. It was a non-Olympic year. I got hurt in Chicago, so they assigned me there to sort of get back instead of the minors. So that was another good experience. Did not play in the 80 Olympic team, unfortunately, but still got to be around those guys in that program. Yeah.
You got to play in a World Junior? You got to play for a national team?
I forgot about that. That's right, 84.
You forgot about the
World Junior. Yeah, we didn't win, right? And now Canada has such high expectations. So that was in Sweden. It was actually a great experience because my dad actually got to go with me. He passed away about 3 years after that, so it's one of those ones that, I was glad he came. But Sweden was a great country to see, but you're 18, you're there for hockey, so we didn't get to be much of a tourist. That was the only thing that you're sort of looking back. Maybe at 18 you wouldn't care, but I was always that type of guy that if I was somewhere, I'd be like, hey, what happens here? Like if you're in a different part of the world, and let's go look at that. So,
what will it be like coaching a Team Canada versus playing for a Team Canada?
Well, it won't be the same because playing is the ultimate, but I'm not able to play anymore, as we all know. So it's the next best thing, right? It's what I do for a living. So it'll be awesome. You're around the best players in the world. We're going to play Team USA to look across at Jack and Hanny, guys that I'm going to battle with every day, trying to win a Stanley Cup with, Carly with Sweden's. That'll be interesting. But just being around those minds, the coaches, I've had a chance already to sit with them a number of times, so that, again, learning, soaking it all in. Now being in a locker room with 20 of the best, it's hard to say they're the 20 best because there's so many good Canadians, but 20 of the elite, Canadians in the world will be a great experience.
You were tabbed to coach 2022 Olympics.
Yes.
When that had to be shelved, were you worried it may not happen again?
Absolutely. Things can change. Thankful that Doug Armstrong and Coop and Don Sweeney included me. Like I told them the first time, I'll sharpen skates if that's what I have to do, to be honest with you, just to be part of the team. And then, it doesn't happen. And we kind of had a feeling for a while it might not, so that was a disappointment. Winning the Stanley Cup here
it's pretty good.
It was a nice sort of, get you over that.
Comforted you.
Yeah. But now we're up and running again with 4 nations. We'll see if that leads to the Olympics, but that's the ultimate.
So what are you looking forward to the most in your role?
Well, my role, I'm going to be power play and the forwards end of the bench. So obviously interacting with those players, but I'd say generally my role to help the team win is what I'm looking forward to, and where can I contribute? It's that simple. Just again being around those elite minds, and now you have to switch gears a bit as the head is to the assistant, right? You're a little more details, specifics of what a forward line might need. So you're changing the way you probably pre-scout, look at hockey games, et cetera, in a short period of time.
When was the last time you were on the bench as an assistant coach?
Would have been
Boston? Your first year?
Boston.
Between
I
Province
got
and Boston?
hired, yes. Worked with Claude Julien and Joe Sacco, and then they let Claude go in February, kind of mid-season, and I took over. So that would have been the last time.
Do you have to be different as an assistant coach
I
as
think
opposed
so.
to the head coach?
I think as a head coach, you need to, there's times you got to be direct and firm and command the room and with a, direct messaging. I think as an assistant, you're supporting the head coach with what he needs, and that could change from day to day. In a short tournament, I don't know how much it'll change other than take care of your area. Coop may decide before every game or in game, hey, I need to know what line's coming over the board next. Can you help me with that? Or I need you to focus on this area only today, so you're not looking at the big picture of the game. I think that'll be a change for me, because I'm always, okay, what line's coming next? How's the game going? Is there someone I could double shift and because they're going and try to find I wouldn't even say an advantage, but just something for our team that makes us even better. And so you're thinking ahead of a little bit of, okay, timeout's coming. Can use our top line because I know they can rest in that, still not lose my matchup. You're going through a lot of those things. I think as an assistant, you're probably a little more, okay, they're breaking the puck out every time up the strong side. Our forecheck has to change now, where we're taking that away. So you're looking at, again, I'm saying that because of the forwards, you're looking at, or we need to attack here better because they're taking that away. So I think as an assistant, you're much more in your area.
Will that be an easy adjustment for you, like going from being the head coach one day
I don't know.
and a couple of days later?
I'll find out in a hurry, right? Like, so I'm assuming that it will, because I'd like to think, I can think on the fly and say, okay, you got to switch gears a bit, put a different hat on. But, it'll be interesting to see if I'm not caught watching the whole play as maybe as opposed to more specific. You're still going to watch the whole play. I mean, but focus. Where's the ultimate focus?
What would your dad think? You're being on Team Canada best on best.
He'd be very proud. My parents, my mom's also passed away, but it was much later. But they were hockey parents. They drove their son and my brother Steve to hockey rinks. They gave up. They like to bowl and they love to curl. Now, I know some Americans are out there. What, curling? Yes, it's a good Canadian sport.
And 5-pin?
5-pin bowling. Yeah. That's the other thing too. That's different. And they were in leagues for both. But eventually, one of them comes on a Saturday morning. You got tournaments. I think the bowling was like a Friday night or something. So yeah, they gave that up, sacrificed for their kids. So they would be proud. Listen, as a parent, you want what your kids want, right? Sometimes you want it even more. And so they knew what I always wanted, so they'd be proud and happy.
The players are put into this situation as a best on best. Do you view it as the same thing with the coaches? Like, you are part of the best? Has it ever been put to you that way?
I don't look at it that way, because I feel like there's so many good coaches and you can only pick 4, right? But
you can only pick 20.
You're right.
Players.
There's the percentages balance out. You're right. So I guess, yes, it's an honor and a privilege to be in that group. But I don't look at it that way. It's a players' tournament, I guess. I'm looking at people are going to watch the players perform, and but yes, for our line of profession, it is. There's lots of good people to pick from, and I was one of them, so I appreciate that. And then you're going against similar, right? American. Now the Swedes and the Finns might be a little different, because if those coaches we may not interacted with and haven't. Maybe some of them, but in general. So, we're going against U.S. It's Sully. You've coached against him with Pittsburgh and Torts and et cetera. So there's a little bit of that. You know what's over there. You know a bit of their style maybe. So how can you counter that? They're probably thinking the same thing with Coop. How can we counter his style? So, yeah, that'll be a fun part of it.
Alex Pietrangelo compared it to a conference final or a Stanley Cup final, best on best in this situation. Do you have any idea what the intensity will be like?
Well, I think it'll ramp up.
Yeah.
I think early on there may be a feeling out process, and then it's on, right? That's what happens with hockey. Someone's going to throw the first hit, and it's like, it's on. We're playing for keeps. That's how I feel it'll go. And I feel it'll go more that way versus the U.S. I just have a feeling that both Canadian U.S. teams are probably built a little more similar than the Finns and the Swedes. Having said that, I mean, the Finns tend to play a physical, hard brand of hockey.
But the North American rivalry.
And then they're all going to know each other.
Yeah.
The Swedes are a little more high hockey IQ, checking, less physical, I think. But they play such a good game. So that might be a little different level of intensity than physicality maybe against the other teams. But no matter what, you're playing against the best. So you better be ready to go.
Can't wait to watch. Canadian to Canadian, good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate that.